And then they're running out of batteries, I'm sure. 26. Ready?
Is it on?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Okay.
Scientists wanted astronauts to get used to crushing pressure that they would feel when a rocket blasted off and when it returned to Earth. So they came up with something called the centrifuge. The astronauts called it the wheel. It looked like an
amusement park ride.
But it was no fun at all.
Okay, go back to the top. Amusement.
Scientists wanted astronauts to get used to the crushing pressure that they would feel when a rocket blasted off and when it returned to Earth. So they came up with something called the centrifuge. The astronauts called it a wheel. It looked like an amusement park ride, but it was no fun at all. The wheel whirled the astronaut around faster and faster. His chest would feel heavier and heavier. He would have trouble breathing and seeing. Sometimes he would even faint. Everyone hated the wheel.
So, do you understand what's going on here?
Yeah.
What is it? Show me with your hand what the wheel's doing. Spinning him around,
Yeah.
and he's spinning in the center of that. And so it's like those rides that, I don't know if you've ever been in, but you're pressed up against the wall and it feels like you can't move. So it's to get them used to what it would feel like in space.
But what it would feel like when they blast off and when they return.
Exactly. When they're blasting off, they're getting pushed back. Okay.
Scientists wanted to know what being weightless in space would do to astronauts. Only space flights could really answer the question. That astronauts needed to practice being weightless on Earth. Scientists found a way. An astronaut rode in the back of a jet plane. The jet would go into a steep climb and drive
And a dive. So a steep climb and a dive. Like that would be like a roller coaster. In my head, that's spicy. I see something going up.
So they wanted to go really high and then dive down.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want to do
You
that?
have to go to the top though, because it's a dive.
Scientists wanted to know what being weightless in space would do to astronauts. Only space flight could really answer the question, but astronauts needed to practice being weightless on Earth. Scientists found a way. An astronaut rode in the back of a jet plane. The jet would go into a steep climb and a dive. For about 30 seconds during the dive, the astronaut would feel weightless. That wasn't much, but it was time enough to try eating and drinking and moving around.
So this is a picture of the centrifuge with the ball. Let's read, maybe we can find out. But it looks like that's him outside of the spacecraft. So he's exploring space while the
How does he
craft
go
is
back?
hovering around. I'm sure it'll tell us, but I'm sure it pulls him back in by the... Have you ever seen a retractable dog leash? Imagine it's something like that. You press the button and it'll bring him back in. So I'm sure there's somebody... Yeah, they're going to bring him back. This looks
They
like...
definitely don't hold it, because that would be dangerous.
No, I think it's hooked up to something. I'm not really sure. We can find out, but maybe it'll tell us. Okay?
Must be weird out there.
Yeah, it must be really quiet. I think it'd be really quiet out there.
Yeah.
And cold.
But they're wearing that.
The suit really protects them.
No, but
it'd be really cold.
If you took the suit off, it depends. You might freeze to death, or it might be so hot that you die.
Probably.
You might
Either
melt.
or. I don't think you'd be able to survive without the suit, because it also gives you oxygen.
Yeah.
Okay.
After hundreds of hours of ground training, the astronauts got a chance at the real thing, space flight. Each launch was a big event. The risks were great, and the costs ran to millions of dollars. Most astronauts went up just once or twice.
Why, when they say the risks were great, what does that mean? Why are the risks
You could
great?
die.
You could die. And the costs ran to millions of dollars. Why are the costs so expensive?
Because you're shooting a pod in space, and you're wearing suits.
And everything is so expensive.
Yeah.
It takes so much time to build, and so much, everybody's working, and there's a whole command desk, and this and that. It's so expensive. All right. So now, 24 from 100. So from right here.
Hundreds of top pilots applied for astronaut training, but by 1964, only 30 men had been chosen. It was dangerous and expensive to send astronauts up in space, so the training was done right here on Earth. Scientists built a model of a spacecraft called a simulator. It had hundreds of dials and levers and lights and buttons and switches, just like the real thing. The astronauts could even see fake videos of the moon,
Fake.
and stars from the windows. Scientists built a model of a spacecraft called a simulator. It had hundreds of dials and levers and lights and buttons and switches, just like the real thing. The astronauts could even see fake views of the moon and stars from the windows. An astronaut sat inside. Suddenly, a warning would flash. Engine flare. An air leak.
Engine failure.
Okay. An astronaut sat inside. Suddenly, a warning would flash. Engine failure. An air leak. The astronaut had to do the right thing to fix it fast. He could always try again on the simulator, but a mistake in space could cost him his life.
So they're training and they're preparing for the real thing.
Scientists wanted astronauts to get used to the crushing pressure that they would feel when a rocket blasted off and when it returned to Earth. So they came up with something called the centrifuge. The astronauts called it the wheel. It looked like an amusement park ride, but it was no fun at all. The wheel rolled, the astronaut rolled faster and faster. His chest would feel heavier and heavier. He would have trouble breathing and seeing sometimes. He would even faint. Everyone hated the wheel. Scientists wanted to know what being weightless in space would do to astronauts. Only spaceflight could really answer the question, but astronauts needed to practice being weightless on Earth. Scientists found a way. An astronaut rode in back of a jet plane. The jet would go into a steep climb and a dive. For about 30 seconds during the dive, the astronaut feel weightless. That wasn't much, but it was time enough to try eating and drinking and moving around.
So you asked before why people would ever want to do this, but if you think of Six Flags and Disney and all the amusement parks, people do that daily. Six Flags, they have these huge roller coaster rides where you go to the top and then they drop you, and you get to feel that feeling of weightless. So it's not just astronauts, but I'm sure that the ones that the astronauts have are pretty more intense, much more intense.
But if it isn't more intense, they wouldn't get a jet. They would go to Six Flags. And they would say, today we're going to Six Flags to go on the really big roller coaster.
Well, they have to make it official, I guess. Alright, almost there.
No, I bet they would do that if it wasn't more intense in the jet.
Yeah.
After hundreds of hours of ground training, the astronauts got a chance at the real thing, space flight. Each launch was a big event. The risks were great, and the costs ran to millions of dollars. Most astronauts went up just once or twice.
Good job.